Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sarah Franklin's our guest here. Sarah, could you briefly introduce yourself in your current role in the AI industry? Like, who are you? What are you doing?
Hi, thank you. And yes, I'm Sarah Franklin. I'm the CEO of Lattice, which is an AI-powered people platform that helps people, be great at their jobs, be great managers, and create high-performing teams.
And Sarah, we obviously want to focus our conversation today around AI. I know that there's so much more than just implementing AI with Lattice, but give us an introduction to the AI component of the platform today. So, for those unfamiliar, could you briefly explain, how Lattice is using AI today and how it integrates within your people management platform?
Yeah, well, first I'll start with Lattice and the data that we have because AI is nothing without great data. And so we have data around all of a company's employees and their performance, their career growth, their career planning, all of their learning, all of their enablement, all of that information, all of their feedback, all of their engagement insights and survey data. So all of that data around what your job is, how you're doing at it, how's your manager, what's the vibe, what's the culture, what's the performance, all of that data is there. And we're using AI to summarize that, to get insights from it, and to really help everyone be better at their jobs, be better managers, help CEOs do better workforce planning. Then you take it even a step further and towards compensation to ensure fair, unbiased compensation, removing bias from all of your processes as best we can. And so AI is really helping normalize, democratize, and make work better for everyone within Lattice.
It's it's so interesting. Like, so often we hear of applications that are just they're implementing AI because it's the cool thing to do, right? You have a practical use case. This makes total sense, especially because you have the information. So, at what point though did it come up that, okay, we need to start doing, because obviously you were not late to the party, you were actually ahead of the game here, and I'm always curious when companies are ahead of the game, what type of discussions happened internally for you to say this is something that we need to implement?
Yeah, I'll go back to the beginning of your question, Jared, because it is so true. Um, are we creating large language models that render blue aliens walking through a magical city you've never heard of before that's, cinematic and incredibly, imaginative and creative? No, that is not what we are doing. Some may say it's more boring, but like you said, boring is practical and it's real. And what we're doing is real AI. This is real AI that is infused in something which everybody in this world that has a job understands is that you want your job to be better, your manager to be better, and your company to understand you and get you. And so this is what I think is really important with AI is that we look to what are the real use cases, how do we effectively use it, and also, as AI comes into the workforce, this is another thing. I think it's really important that we look to at the precipice how we govern AI and how we help ourselves be better people with AI. Like the AI is not coming in to take over. We are still in charge. But what it is the AI can help us be better, eliminate rote work, and really help us achieve our true human potential because we have these incredible tools and because we have AI that is used in, yes, maybe boring, but effective and useful use cases.
Okay, so the one thing that I hear a lot is that companies want to do AI inside their enterprise and they just get stuck on implementation. What are some of the challenges that you've seen with your customers in deploying these AI powered solutions, if any, and how have they overcome those, if you know?
Yeah, this is a very real question and this is so important and it's on every CEO's mind right now is how do I implement AI within my product, within my company, everywhere across the board. And most CEOs are being asked to grow revenue also without growing headcount. So
Okay.
also the question is how do we become more efficient and productive? And there's two really huge things that people are facing. One is that there is a lot of fear around AI and what it means. So many unanswered questions, like what does this mean
Mm-hmm.
for me? What does it mean for my job? What does it mean for the future? What is this? What? So many unanswered questions and a lot of fear that that induces. The second thing is that there is an abundance of fear matched with very little education. And so people think that AI is still a set of pre-programmed if then else statements in a decision tree that has a predetermined, I should say, outcome that you know with 100% certainty what it's going to do. And go back to the first part of fear of like, wait, what? It's not going to do exactly what I tell it to do. Well, what does that mean? What if it's wrong? What if it says something that I don't agree with? What if it's not aligned to my values? What if and this like perpetuation
Yeah.
of then your own if then else scenarios in your own human mind take over. And so that huge amount of fear matched with a lack of education is the thing that really needs to be solved. And the only way that you can do that, in my opinion, is by having courage as a leader to guide your team, to be willing to experiment, and to take step by step by step by step, and be very transparent. Be very transparent with your team and your customers and all of your stakeholders around what you are doing,
Mm.
because it's not going to be a perfect road. We do not have all of the answers, and so we have to have courage together to go into this new world. Um, it's we're no we are not new to seeing new technologies. And so this is just a new technology that we have to embrace with the same amount of courage and also put governance in place at the beginning. This is something I
Yes.
believe deeply in, is that we need governance at the beginning so that we don't have a dystopian outcome, that we have a more nirvana outcome where we are able to be, better with this technology.
That's so well said. I think you really hit on that. I think the key point right now in AI, especially, is that we've come from a deterministic model where if you did something in a program and you did it and it gave you an output and you did it again the next day, it would give you the same output. That's how we entire lives have been predicated with computing. And now you can ask the same question within the span of 10 minutes to an AI, in this case an LLM, and you get different answers. And so that is really hard to get your head around as a user. It's like, well, wait, in Excel, if I do 2 plus 2, I get 4 every single time. But in an LLM, I can ask what I think is a rote question and end up with different things over and over again. So yeah, I think that's a key point. And I think that's what's driving a lot of the fear is the fact that it isn't deterministic and it is more like a human than it is like a computer. Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, people really they think that it is just a bot that sits on your website or some bot that automates tasks, and that is automation workflow which we've had for decades, and
Yep.
it is a leap of understanding of this is different. The computer is no longer just a binary outcome of yes or no, of 2 plus 2.
Yeah.
I do hope that 2 plus 2 is always 4. Like, um, unless like we're going into a different world of math. But and that I think that's where it gets to the other thing is that there have to be some truths. There
Yeah.
have to be values. It has to align to what our goals are as a company, as a society. And that is one of the big questions I have is how do you ensure that? It's, it's a matter of not just training, but it's a matter of governance and having clear goals and being very clear on the guardrails and who is the human in
Hmm.
charge
Hmm.
at all times so that we don't get ourselves into a state of, well, wait, who's making that decision? Who's on the hook for that? Because at the end of the day, we have to keep people on the hook ultimately for the decisions that AI is making.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, so I actually went through a lot of your reviews and comments, and Sarah, let me just say, you are better than like 98% of CEOs in responding to the some I wouldn't even expect you to, and you do. Um, in the early days when you announce these features, this is very common, but people get so fearful that it's going to take jobs away, and what I've read is you've been very clear at and even in your messaging, and it augments, right? It doesn't necessarily take away a job. It's helping people become more efficient in what they're doing. So what I really wanted to dig into is some of the specific features, specifically performance reviews, because these can be very stressful for managers and employees. So how are you leveraging AI and helping make this process more efficient and meaningful? I know you mentioned it a little bit earlier with some of your other stuff, but I'd love to dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah, and you hit on something which is so important, which is AI is not human and it is not a person. And when you're looking at something like a performance review, that is a very personal, a very important milestone and moment in your career. It only happens a few times every year. Every company has different, you know, processes and best practices that they implement. But your performance review, AI can help summarize information. It can help give, better understanding to manager, to give more context of things that aren't humanly possible to sort through all of the input, all of the job, all of the details and the ins and outs of whether it's an engineer, a salesperson, a marketeer, customer service representative, lawyer, you name it. There's so much that happens that AI helps bring that together and summarize. But the AI, we believe, should never create a score, for example. That is for the person, for the manager, for the leader to do, is to apply the human judgment to say, okay, I have now all the information synthesized, and we will now, create the performance review. It's very important that the AI is helpful, but it is not determinant in this outcome. And this is what we believe needs to apply to AI across the board, whether it is your performance, whether it's your compensation. So compensation is a huge one. There's so much to take into account for not just your performance level, but your peer, the benchmarks for the industry where you may live, what other accolades you may have, and to ensure that no matter your race, gender, location, language you speak, we can eliminate bias. Proximity bias, recency bias. Bias isn't just about, gender or race. And so this is something which in Lattice, we have all of these, we've used AI to help us, whether it's helping you write the performance review with all of the context, helping you remove bias, helping you stay and check yourself. And ultimately, though, with the belief that AI is not the human and the human is the one that makes a determinate decision of your performance and your review and your career pathway.
I always say when you see something in a TV show or in a movie years before, and then it actually happens, as a company creating that, you're onto something. And this piece right here was actually, I have to mention it because it was like the top Netflix show this year was Suits, right? I don't know if either of you.
I haven't seen it.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a law
I've
show.
heard that.
So I'll give you one little teaser or a spoiler, but this is like minor. They're doing reviews. An employee is tasked to do reviews on all these different lawyers to see who they're going to get rid of after this acquisition. And she comes up with a report and goes, we need to get rid of this person. And they said, what are you, crazy? And no, we can't get rid of that person. We like that person. We're not getting rid of them. But when they really dig into it, beyond the data, was that if you got rid of this person, that person kept everyone happy within that certain team and was supporting everyone. So their metrics were a little bit lower than everyone else, but if you let go of them, it would be catastrophic. So that's to your point. It's really interesting, right? So this is where we say augment, not replace, because it helps us get the information that we need more easily so then we can make a better decision, right?
This is, I mean, that is the dystopian scary outcome, right? And this is very real. You look at, from law to salespeople. You have a team of salespeople. Salespeople are just, it is known. Okay, you make quota, you don't make quota. It's very simple, right?
Right.
And you don't need AI to do that. But if you apply that and just say, okay, this person was below quota, these other people are above. And what happens if you get rid of that person, but that person is the one that's always enabling, supporting, doing all of the things, spending all their time and all the other people that they maybe not have enough time to do their own work, where maybe you should question yourself and what should that person's role be? Maybe we should reevaluate that role. Maybe they should have a different trajectory. And that's absolutely the way that this will help us get to more nirvana than dystopia and or utopia than dystopia. And it's so important. And that is where the fear is coming from. The fear that a robot will make the decision for me, and I'm just like talking. It's not like there is no spoon. It's like there is no
Right.
manager, right? There is
Right.
just an AI, and that is exactly what we do not want to happen. And by having responsible use and having governance, we can fast forward ourselves to more utopia than dystopia.
Yeah. So, Sarah, what in AI, what are the trends, emerging trends that you're seeing that you're most excited about?
I mean, there's so much happening in AI. It's across industry, across every dimension you can imagine, and whether it's having smaller models with specific data sets to the multimodality to RAG and having like it's kind of AI on top of AI,
Hmm.
and all of that. I, I rewind to, even a year ago of where I thought this would be now, and seeing things like, how the language barriers are being removed,
Yeah.
and all of that is so powerful in real time.
Yeah.
It's like we're used to translation, but real time translation and having these conversations, it just is so powerful. But for me, uh, the biggest thing that I'm most excited about, of no surprise, is how we govern this and how we educate ourselves. And I think that some of the most important innovations are yet to be out there, because this technology is just like rapidly getting so much better. And what is not keeping pace is the education and the governance. And so, to me, some of the innovations that are most exciting are going to be the boring things, because they're the ones that are going to really set us up for success. Because I imagine a world where, for example, I go shopping and I don't even have to shop. Like my AI, give it a budget, I
Yeah.
tell it where I'm going. I'm like, I want to
Yeah.
go to Paris with my kids and experience museums and do whatever they did at the Olympics on the river.
Right. Right. Don't swim in
And
it. Yeah.
I know, and like, and be prepared for the rain, and
Right.
look glamorous. And it's just like, and it goes shopping, and it puts me at whatever Marriott hotel, puts me in whatever outfit with proper shoes, and it just, and it's on budget, and I
Oh,
don't have to do anything. Like, that is amazing. But
yeah. It
then
would be
I
amazing.
want to know, what is the governance around it, so that my
Yeah.
information is safe, so that my
Right.
privacy is safe, and so that we are helping bring humans into that process, and it's not just like automated, because as without people in the middle. Because as much as we think that maybe there's some universal basic income, or something like that, I just don't think that's a reality right now. And so that's, to me, the most exciting thing, is seeing innovations in the governance and the management, and in the education, which I think is so important.
Well, to your point, at TED this year, there was a talk given by a native Chinese speaker who had never spoken in English before, as a native Chinese speaker. But they had built a voice model for him, and then they had it. I can't remember the company, but they literally had him on stage speaking in Mandarin, and you couldn't hear it. It was real time translated into English in his voice with his accent and his tone and everything else to the entire TED audience. So that to me is just it was mind blowing, because it truly erased barriers, and it truly erased borders, and it's an incredible. But to your point, you can imagine it was so convincing that making sure governance is in place so that's not misused is absolutely key. But yeah,
It's
great.
so important. Like, I have my avatar. It's with HeyGen, and I can it's crazy, like what it can do, and it's me. I show people, I'm like, look, and they're like, what?
You
That's
show
the
them a picture.
AI? I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, that's, and it talks, has hand gestures, it does facial expressions, it's learned
Yeah.
me, and it can speak, Japanese, Mandarin, like I think it's like over
Yeah.
40 languages or
Yeah.
something. It's insane. And I think of myself as a CEO, from what that can do from a standpoint of enabling and communicating, connecting with my employees, right?
Yeah.
And within
Absolutely.
Lattice, we put this into the onboarding materials. Like, oh, okay, then you then have that dynamically. Like, imagine you have your employee record, Jared and Stefan, like, got your information, your
Mhm.
roles, and then you get the video from your CEO. It's like, hey, insert name, thank you for doing insert job role title, and in insert location. We're so used to this format for mail merges.
Yeah.
It's just like a mail merge with a video format. And so that is something which is going to be so powerful when you think of connecting to people on that one-to-one bespoke level. and what this is going to do to change learning, to change enablement, to change connection, to change everything that makes you feel like, oh yeah, I understand. And also in a way for like, my daughter is 20 and I see her, last summer she worked at a retail store, and they have new materials every day that they need to, new spiffs, new whatevers. And so connecting to that younger generation with the equivalent of like a TikTok 1-minute video is like, hey, look at the new sample on the floor. It's orange. It's great. This is the thing.
Interesting.
And people are like enabled in real time. I'm going off on a tangent, but net is that the possibilities are endless, but we have to be very clear, like you said, hi, I'm Sarah Avatar, here to share with you, blah, blah, blah. So we're very transparent for the AI being there. And then we're very accountable for, okay, if the AI does something, I'm the human that's actually going to be the one that's accountable for what it does.
Yeah. I'm excited for my AI avatar to go to boring meetings I don't want to be at, and no one will know the difference, so it's fine.
Oh, it's crazy. It's all going to be ambient. Like,
I know.
Think of like your one-on-ones, and like you don't have to take
Oh my
notes
gosh.
anymore. It's just kind
I
of, it's
don't.
all
I take no
there.
notes. It's all there. I know, it's nutty. It's great. And then cool thing is too, and then we'll end this thing. The cool thing as well is the application I use, read.ai. Not only does it take all the notes and summarize and give action items, but everyone in the meeting gets the notes in their email right after it's finished. So that's just, everyone has it all right there. And there's no excuse for not figuring out what you have to do. It's amazing. I digress. Jared, close us out.
On the other side, though, Stefan, it's you send someone on a call with your friend, and they say, "Hey, can you help me move next week?" And it checks calendar and sees that you're open. And, yeah, no problem. I'll be there.
Yeah.
You need to train AI for like the guardrails.
Yeah, this person.
Governance, all back to governance.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretend I have a boring life up until the point where I'm asked to help them move, and all of a sudden I have a very, very busy calendar.
Yeah, it's say no to Jim always is what you have to do. All right. Last two things real quick. You've excelled at this, but a lot of companies are still, struggling to kind of find, okay, how do we implement AI? So what would be your 90-day AI plan for those that want to start implementing AI within their organization?
Yeah, I think it's a good framework, because if you take like a 30, 60, 90 approach, it gives you simple milestones. And the first 30 days, I think it's important to be educated and write down a few simple things that you want to have as realistic goals. And then the second 30 days, you spend like doing the implementation of it, and it can be something very simple, like even as simple as setting up, transcriptions or something. It could be very simple. And then I think that you have to reserve that last 30 days for retrospection and listening, because if you take yourselves up to 90 days of all you're doing is like implementing, you really aren't going to have yourself in a better place, because you need to take little baby steps, not do Big Bang Theory here. So educate yourself on something which you can very simply do. Spend 30 days, like time box yourself. Like, what can I do within 30 days, which is going to have an impact and be, something we can have a win on. And then spend the next 30 days, listening and learning and doing some retro. And that's what I would do, because then what's going to be important there is you will have made a little step, but your confidence will have made a huge step, because you'll think, oh, I was able to do this AI. And then then people will feel less fearful, because they know their job wasn't gone at the end of it. They're happier. And then the big ideas are going to come up, right? And then you're going to have people volunteering. Well, there's this other thing. And then you're going to tap into the real productivity gains, because then people will confidently share what they are. Because at the beginning, they're going to be too scared. Like, no, I'm not going to share that. That's too scary, right?
That's a great insight.
You share the thing which is more simple and people understand, and you build that confidence, which is so important.
That's great.
Last thing, we have to ask it. Why wouldn't we want to ask this, right? What are you most looking forward to at HumanX?
I mean, I have to say, the speakers and the diversity of topics and everything, the speaker list is super impressive. Clara is a good friend. Like so
Oh,
many
great.
people there. I'm excited to hear what they have to say. And I think about what they're saying right now and what they're doing right now. I can't wait till March. I'm like, okay, what are they going to be saying then? You
I
know?
know.
And it's
Ugh.
just so much topics covered, from big company to, pioneering company to this industry to that industry. So just hats off for the content and the speakers. And I just can't wait to hear from all of them.
That's great. Sarah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're great, Sarah. Thank you.